Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. You are now listening to episode number 229. This is another interview from our live recording for our marathon show for Give Kids the World. And up next, you will hear the interview with Mr. Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest podcast. Why don't you guys check it out, share it with your friends, and thanks for downloading.
You're listening to the Behind the Ears podcast because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind the Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Hey everybody, it's Mr. Chris, and I got to tell you about Expedition Roasters. Listen, I'm a pretty big coffee drinker, just like a lot of you are, but these people have got coffee right. Their coffees are made from selectively sourced premium and specialty grade Arabica beans. They provide the absolute best flavor and aroma, and select roast even come directly from a single estate farm for a truly perfect cup that is never bitter. They've got awesome Disney-inspired flavors such as Roundhouse Roast, Route 66, Skipper's Brew, Dark Side Roast, Redhead Rum, and one of my favorites, Bobsledder's Brew. Listen, if you want to have the taste of Disney in every cup, give them a try today. ExpeditionRoasters.com, and Behind the Ears podcast listeners gets an extra 20% off your first order by using the coupon code EARS20. That's right, EARS20. And you can find them over at ExpeditionRoasters.com. Brew your happy place. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, KingdomStrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from KingdomStrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact KingdomStrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's KingdomStrollers.com. Listen, then our next guest is Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest podcast. And, the interesting part is, and I'm going to tell him this here in a minute as well. He was probably the first person I started listening to in podcasting a number of years ago. And I always enjoyed his shows. And, I really enjoyed them. It was one of the first things I started getting into once I really found podcasting. At the same time, I know that he also does a marathon show as well. And if I'm not mistaken, it's coming up too, relatively soon. I will certainly like for him to plug his show because, I think we need to support the cause from anybody and everybody's perspective. And he too is also raising money for Give Kids World Village. And we will actually see him over at the Indie Disney Meet in August, which is really pretty awesome. But the thing is he also does this for about 12 hours. And I am going to ask him, prefacing his arrival with the question of how in the world did they do it? Yeah. Because this is something that's, this takes a lot out of you, and that's not a complaint. It's a pure observation. So, not to mention this is the first time we're really dealing with this from as long of a time that we're actually online dealing with Facebook. In fact, I will tell you, I think this is actually working better this year than last year. Although I'm looking at some of our comments. Trisha basically said, I got booted, hashtag FB wonky. It's just really kind of, and Trisha's been doing a great job trying to act as something of a comment moderator. She does a great job at that. Trisha is one of our admins, so that is actually really pretty cool. So let's see here. Apologize for the small lull in conversation. but it is the way it is.
12 hours.
You ever get the idea of you really want to say to yourself, what were we thinking?
Yeah. I think next year we might tone it down a little.
What, 11 and a half hours?
Yeah, like 11:45. That extra 15 minutes goes a long way.
Well, the part that really kind of gets me in a way, and I say this with humor, is that there's actually a really good chance that this is probably going to go a little bit longer, just because I'm going to have to write down some things and put some things in a random pick generator or something to that extent, in order to give away some of our bigger prizes at the end of the show. As I said, you do not have to be like online present to win. We will let everybody know when people are around.
You just have to donate to be able to get into any of our prizes. The smaller ones, if you've won already today, you can no longer win any of the smaller ones. And to get either the Dooney and Burke purse or the awesome donation we just got of the Club 33 signed hat, both of those, you have to donate a minimum of $25. So that's where we're at.
I may, during our time that we are going to do one of our other shows, I may go remote and show people what it looks like. I don't know if I can do that. We'll have to figure it out. We'll have to see how. We'll just have to see how it goes.
If you click the link from your phone, you could actually have this camera and your phone go live at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I swear you could do that.
Yay! Sorry, I'm getting tired.
All right. Yeah, dude. Thank God. Coming up, we have Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest podcast at 5:00. After that, at 5:45, we've got Jimmy Horn from the Disney Nerds podcast. And honestly, I am most excited for the 6:30 segment where it's Jess and Alex come take over and me and Chris get to stand up and walk around and lay in bed, because that's what I plan on doing. I literally plan on clicking them up and just laying down.
Wow.
And not getting back up.
I'll do it, because you know what's going to happen.
I'm going to go right out.
You are going to fall asleep. And we all know what happened.
Bear it is to get me up.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I'm going to be honest with everybody here. This is just a funny story. Last year at the Indie Disney meet, Danny and I, shared a room to kind of just, because it was just the two of us. We shared a hotel room, and we, just had a couple late nights and so on and so forth. But I was like ready to get up. And so I got up, took a shower, got dressed, did a whole bunch of things. He's in the other part of the room, and he is just snoring away. And I actually had to turn the TV up quite a bit, because I was like watching a movie or something like that as I was getting ready for the day. And all of a sudden it was like things stopped, and he jumped out. He kind of like jumped out of bed. I'm like, what happened? It's like all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's time for him to wake up. Da-da-da!
Listen, I've people have tried to wake me up. I will throw objects at you, anything in arm's reach. Do not wait, because it's like poking a sleeping bear. You don't poke a sleeping bear. I like my sleep. People don't understand this. And yes, I snore like a chainsaw. I've broken my nose 3 times. This side of my nose does not work. So there's only so much air that can come in and out. So
it was horrible.
I warned him and told him to bring earplugs. That's on him for not listening.
Well, okay. Well, truth be told, the first night I forgot my earplugs. The second night I used earplugs. And even then I was so tired it didn't matter, but it was just
you need like those noise canceling Bose headphones at that point.
I don't know if that would even work, man, because they have limitations, and I think you exceed all those limitations.
Even Jessica said, I've learned not to wake Danny. Don't wake me. Don't let me wake when I'm ready to wake. If you wake me and I was not ready to wake, we're gonna have some problems.
I told Danny the first night we got there, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go downstairs and get breakfast at this time. You're more than welcome to join me. I'm not expecting you to. He's like, okay. Well, as soon as I got up, I was getting ready. Hey, just let me throw something on really quick. I'll go down. I need breakfast. I'm hungry. I need food.
I'm literally the only person that could wake up and want to eat too. I'll wake up and be like, I'm famished. I'll take 7 omelets, please. Oh yeah, don't never wake me up at 2 a.m. to go running. Did it once for you guys. That is it. You will never get me at a Run Disney event ever again. Not happening. Had a fantastic time. You will not wake me up to do physical activity at 2 in the morning. No. Nope. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together as we bring on Mr. Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest podcast. Mike, how we doing today?
I'm not as tired as you guys. I like it. Good stuff, man. You're looking chipper. You're going to make it.
We're in our lull right now. We're trying to boost back on.
Second win.
Yeah. I drank way too much coffee to start the show off. So if anybody has never heard of Mike, he runs this little old podcast, been around for a little while, called the Be Our Guest podcast. Sir, why don't you tell everybody where to find you, what you do, and plug your travel agency and all that.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. First of all, I'm so glad to be back again with you guys, raising money here for Give Kids World. It's amazing. They're such great folks, and you guys are awesome for doing this. We appreciate that so much. So thank you for having us. I'm Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest podcast. We've been doing a little show 3 times a week for 10 years now, actually 10 years and a couple months. So we've been blessed and just having a great time talking Disney, a few times a week. I'm one of the agents over at the Magic for Less Travel and do that full time now. So I've been very blessed in that instance as well. But glad to come on and talk Disney with you. Guys looking good.
Oh, thanks.
It's an absolute pleasure.
And also, by all means, first off, I want to say congratulations on your first year. Since your big career change and becoming a full-time agent. I know that was a pretty big decision for you and your family for that matter. And I know that everything I've seen you do since then is like you've been happy. You've been really happy with it.
Yeah, I still have a house, so it's still a small house. We haven't got, we're not getting rich or anything, but we're making the bills, and I'm still married. So those are 2 big wins for me. I mean, I figure that's, I'm full-time in the Disney hemisphere, still married and still have a home. So, what else can I ask for?
Yeah, you can ask any more. You're just going to become greedy at that
exactly.
point.
I mean, come on now. I don't need anything more than what I have.
I mean, I've been seeing some of your Instagram posts and, some of your memories. I not to get on the personal side. I remember the day that you actually announced that you were actually making this change. And, the thing of it is and the reason I bring it up is, we've been talking about, the idea to, aspire to inspire. And, the thing of it is that right around the same time, I was in the process of trying to figure out what I was going to end up doing within my career path. And the interesting part is that I thought to myself, wow, this is obviously one of those things that takes, a little faith, a little trust, and a whole lot of pixie dust. And I really admired the fact that you really went to, strive to, really go after one of your dreams, go after something you feel called for. And, not necessarily a direct parallel, but, it was shortly thereafter that, I took something of a chance even within my own career path where, it was something totally completely different. And I was actually very, very nervous. Mm-hmm. It was one of those cases where while it was with the same company, my company is almost like companies within a company. And, I made that change, last October finally. And I thought to myself, man, if I screw this up, I've got a kid in college, I've got I got all these things. I got my wife. I got the idea of 2 cars, 2 kids, and a wife. It's like you have to stop and realize. And sometimes you just have to say, you know what, this is going to be okay. And
I think you're making a great point, because I think sometimes you just have to bet on yourself. You know what? Because I think sometimes the safe path is what we always take because it's comfortable. And with education, I taught for 17 years, so I taught elementary school. I had this pretty stellar reputation in our district that, because I love teaching when I taught, so my kids like to be in my classroom because we would get outside, we'd build stuff, we didn't just sit there and read out of books, but it was just time to, I figure you get one chance at life, and 30 years of anything for me would have been too much. I just wanted to, I needed to reinvent myself and try something totally 180 degrees. I'd never worked in business or, because travel agency, it's sales. Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as service, but in a way you're selling yourself. And, I have no formal training in sales or anything like that. I got a master's degree in education, but, it's fun to wake up every morning and know that you gotta be on your best to make ends meet. And it's a challenge every day. Trust me. I mean, there's been some sleepless nights, but like you said, I mean, it's fun to get out there and see what you can do. It's like being 21 all over again and getting out of school. So it's fun.
I agree. One of the things that I know that you're really well known for is basically your love and passion for running.
I don't know about that. That's a love-hate relationship.
You make it look so okay. I'm going to say this, Mike, and you're going to probably disagree with me. You make it look so easy.
Sales. Okay, here's how I really look right before I take that selfie every morning. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm glad that 12 miles is done.
The funny part is that, okay, that may be the case, but you put out a good face for that. And I was actually going to joke around a little bit and say, you got to convince Danny, to go and do that again. But I think now that he's heard that of my whole idea.
You know what, Danny, you're the smartest one of the three of us right here. I can tell you that.
Why is that?
Because you're not going to run any more runs. You're going to actually go down there for vacation. What?
Yeah.
You're the smartest guy alive.
I'll go down there. I'll hold the meats. I'll do the right hand. That's no problem. I'll rah at the finish line at 9 a.m. That's it. You got one out of me.
In the chat right now, it's on the broadcast.
Because it's one of those things where I've always toyed with it, and we've talked about some Run Disney events on some past shows and so on and so forth. And I know that I've kind of floundered back and forth with the idea of trying something, whether it's wrong or not. And, I've made this joke before. I know it's getting a little old, but the thing is that I realize that round is not the shape that people need to be in. And, it goes on the lines. Doctor says, you got to get in shape. I said, or get back into shape. I said, Doc, you kind of make an assumption I was ever in shape in the first place, but, well, it's true.
But here, let me tell you, Chris, though, because I've done a lot of the races now, and I'm not fast, but I typically will get there. And there's been times where I didn't think I was going to make it to the finish, and a couple of halves. I had some health issues a couple of years ago, and I didn't know it, but I was still out there being stupid and running. And you see people of all shapes and sizes out there. And a couple races ago, I was running alongside a gentleman with two prosthetic legs, and he had a handler there with him, but he didn't have any legs before, above the knee. And he was out there in a half marathon, doing 13 miles. And I thought, my God, the next time I have a rough day, I want to think about this gentleman. He's out there. Every step has to be painful. And how easy is it for this gentleman to say, you know what? I could find other things to do with my time to get out here. So those are the kind of things you see in Run Disney races that keep me coming back, because there's a lot of times I don't want to get up and run, but my dad always taught me to kind of lead by example. And so while I'm not a big rah guy too much on the running team that we have, I just want to be in somebody's feed that morning. Maybe they're having a rough Monday or a rough Thursday, whatever it is, getting ready to go to work. And at least I got out there and tried to attack the day, tried to start it the right way. I don't need to cheer or anything, but maybe somebody else, just get out there and do what you can. So that's kind of how I look at it. And you would do fine. Just give it a shot.
I probably would. I mean, I know that it's a matter of, I got the pace down. It's a matter of duration, I think, right now, to be very honest with you, because I can do a 5K. I can do a 5K. I could do it. I can do it without, having a heart attack. And
that's good.
Yeah. Well, I always joke around. I joke around with two things. I always say, it was like, Chris, what's your goal if you do a 5K? I said two things. I said, the first thing is don't come in last. That's just a simple goal. I don't care if there's one person behind me, just don't come in last. The second one is don't die.
Well,
Don't
those are great goals. And let me tell you though, the first goal, you might want to rethink that, because in the 5Ks I've seen, the person who comes in last, Mickey and Minnie walk them across the line. Great picture, man. I'm saying, like, if you're like second to last, I'd kind of sandbag it and get
Oh, I gotta tie my shoe. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, play crap. Well, it was kind of funny because we actually had a 5K in our neighborhood, and we have some nice, I don't want to call it hilly terrain, but there's a hill right outside my house that I usually end by coming up to it, and I'm like, oh, it's the dumbest thing in the world to try to finish a run coming up that hill. But someone, one time I was asking people about playlists, and they're like, well, Chris, what's on your playlist? I said, 45 minutes of music. And they're like, well, that sounds really kind of specific. Why is that? I go, because if I run out of music, I know that I'm probably passed out on the ground somewhere. So I always tell people, I go, if you don't see me come through here in 45 minutes, please go find me.
And restart my playlist so I can make it home, right?
So I mean, it's really cool. But you know what? You're absolutely right, Mike. I mean, it's one of those things where I've never stopped thinking about the idea of going ahead and doing a Run Disney thing, because I realize that anything worthwhile is it's going to take some effort. There's multiple reasons for doing it, and I do stop and think about how much I do feel better after doing this sort of thing. And it's been a while. I've had to deal with a few health issues myself. It was one of those cases where, like, for several months I screwed up my leg, something fierce, and I still don't understand. It took me out of running for the latter half of last summer. And after that, it was just harder than heck to get back to it. And
I can tell you, it's harder every day.
And then of course, hey, we're not getting any younger.
I know. I keep thinking I'm 21. I'm not. Not even close.
I mean, I think right now we're getting into the multiples of 21, and it's just one of those things. So I don't know. But we're not just here to talk about Run Disney stuff. Although I do say that I appreciate your pictures and posts and so on like that, because I do believe that they do inspire. You always have such a great attitude towards it, and I just think that is absolutely wonderful. So I look forward to seeing that, because it does help me. Even if I don't go out and run, I go out and do something, because I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I need to. So I appreciate that. Okay. But hey, let's talk some Disney stuff. And I thought we do something a little bit different. One of the things that Danny and I always tend to get into conversations is in regards to food. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those cases where Danny and I either agree with each other or we totally throw stuff at each other over what we believe. And I'm
usually right, by the way.
Oh, as friends do. You find it out.
Yeah. It's and as people are already saying, all this running talk, and of course Enrique bites into pizza. So I kind of want to know, and again, these are just fun conversations, but what do you think is your favorite table service type of restaurant at Disney?
I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy. I'm from St. Louis, in the Midwest. So I'm not, I was taken to Jico last month for the first time by Pam Forrester, co-host of the show with me, and she treated. So I was more than happy to go to Jico because I wasn't paying the bill. I was glad to have that treat. So I got there and got to check out that steak with the mac and cheese and we had all the appetizers on the table. We ordered it all. I mean, it was all there. So it was a cool experience. I love Jico, but again, my kind of places are like Kona Cafe, Trails End. I like Gardner Grill a whole lot for breakfast and dinner. San Angel Inn. I know that's not very high on a lot of, but I'm a big Mexican food guy. I could eat Mexican 7 days a week. So I'm not, it's good for me because I'm not looking for, as crazy as it sounds, I'm not, I don't have to have the Be Our Guest ADR, like that's good for me. Sit at Rosewell Table. I've been there a few times, don't need it every time, maybe a special occasion. 50s prime time's great. Sci-fi is awesome. I'm kind of a middle of the road ADRs guy, which suits me well because while I make ADRs for my guests often, I don't make them for myself very often. So we have to go places that aren't popular. Now, Homecoming is a new favorite, which is hot. I really enjoy that because it's it's kind of super fancy Cracker Barrel, like in a way, kind of comfort food. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty straight down the middle. Don't need a whole lot of fancy stuff. I go to Ohana, but I'm not going to fight for an ADR, but I like it. So.
I've never been to Chico, but yeah, it's one of those places where I would love to go to Chico. Let me ask you that though. Was Chico over the top in the sense of like the spices and things like that? 'Cause that was one of the things that they really, at least it seemed like there was a lot of spices and a lot of different, African inspired type of flavors. Did you find that to be particularly the case?
Not really. I mean, the steak was just really good. I mean, it was a filet, and the cheese apparently had like 5 or 6 different blends of cheese, and the mac and cheese. So that was very good. We had a lot of the apps. Now, some of these appetizers were a little spicy. There was a kind of if you've ever been to Sanaa and had the bread service, there was kind of a mini tray like that. And again, I'm not a foodie, so I don't know what any of this stuff's called, but there were a few different kinds of breads and a few different kinds of dips, not the 9 like you get at Sanaa. And that was very good. There's some different flavors there, but, nothing was really challenging to my palate, that was very different. It all tasted really, really good. But again, I wouldn't know fancy food if it hit me in the head. So I was hungry, and it was a steak and mac. I mean, come on now, steak and mac. We had a cool dessert that looked like a baby bird coming out of a nest. I can't remember what that was all about, but it tasted good. So yeah, it was the weirdest looking thing, and it was kind of. I don't know. I was like, do we eat this thing? It's all fancy. Kind of tastes like cotton candy. So I was like, all right, let's tear it up, and ice cream. So whatever.
Have you been able to eat over at the Polite Pig yet?
I have not.
You got to check it out.
Yeah. And I want to try out that $8 cookie, that big gigantic.
Oh, yeah.
Over it. I think I don't know what that is. It's huge. But we'll be back for the Toy Story opening at the end of next month. So I'm checking places to get some new stuff. And Woody's Lunchbox is my jam. I can't wait to eat there.
No pun intended. They have some nice jams on the selection menu.
Yes, they do. That's right.
I'll tell you, when we found out what the menu was going to be for the Lunchbox, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding. I mean, you're going to need, and first off, they need to have the order ahead process for that, because that the line is going to be as long for that as it is for the for Slinky Coaster, and it's like you're going to have to be either the first in line, or you might as well be like the last person in line at the end of the day in order to get something, because that's going to be packed. And I would absolutely love to experience that. I mean, I kind of called it, the homemade Pop-Tart. I'm like, oh, please, just, that sounds so good. But it's all that's kind of like kid comfort food, but I'm sure adults will absolutely enjoy those too.
Oh, absolutely. And 2 words, 2 potato barrels. I could eat tater tots all day, just various kinds of tater tots. So I'm so in. I can't.
Tater tots are so good.
I shouldn't be doing this to you guys around dinner time. I mean,
you're killing us. We don't get to eat for another hour.
I just had some corn dog nuggets, so I'm fine.
Must be nice.
Well, hey, my wife's like, nuggets. Between nuggets and, as I said, my son gave me some trail mix, and that, and I will have this done in a little bit. That's all green tea.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Okay, so you've kind of convinced me a little bit to try to talk the rest of my family into trying Chico, because we've been to Boma, we've been to Sanaa, love Sanaa, and I don't know what it is about Sanaa. The bread service, it could be just the only thing you eat there and just be happy. In fact, one time it was a couple years ago. One of the people in our traveling group, she loves hot and spicy, and the cast member serving us was like, well, this is the spiciest that we have. And so she took a taste of it. She goes, do you think it would be rude if I asked you to possibly ask the chef to take it up several notches? And she goes, hold on a second. came back about 5 minutes later with a special fire type of sauce. And it was, and so she's just eating it like it was just a topping on a potato chip. And she's like, Chris, go ahead and try this. I'm like, sure, no problem. Go ahead and take some naan, dip it in, take a bite. I'm like, oh wow, this gives a little bit of kick. Oh, this has got a little bit of kick.
It kicks you like 5 minutes later, and you pass out. Yeah,
I'm sweating now, and it's like, no, it's not because I'm hot. Yeah, it was so good. Oh my god.
That's one of those things that I dip in there, then I rub my eye, my eye itches, and then I'm in the emergency room, 30 minutes later, because somebody was trying to be smart with the chef, and the chef's like, I'll show you hot. Let's go.
You want to dance? We could dance.
Exactly.
Like, here's a ghost pepper. Exactly. We'll go ahead and dice this in and put it on top of your pizza. Yeah, I don't really think so. So now this is one of those cases. You've been recently converted, so to speak, from being a driver to a flyer down to Walt Disney World. What was one of I have to ask, because this summer is the first time I'm actually flying to Walt Disney. There you go.
Southwest sent me a big old thing of swag, and so I got my little jet here, and I have T-shirts to wear, power bands. They hooked me up.
So awesome. I mean, because it's like, for the last nearly 10 years, I've mainly been driving down, doing the road trip, doing the Griswold down there, and it's one of those cases. This is the first year that I'm not, mainly because I'm bringing the son-in-law candidate with us, and so the interesting part is, and again, this is not a paid plug or anything. I am also flying Southwest for the first time in a long time. And it's kind of fun because it's, I've been to Southwest's headquarters in Dallas for a couple different things for business purposes. And they're a great group of people. Not just those that are flying the planes and taking care of the guests, but, the company itself. I never met anybody there at the corporate level that I didn't get along with. It was really cool. Anyway, what would you say, because I knew that you used to drive quite often down there, what were some of the turning points for you to say, yeah, I'm going to start flying instead because I found certain value in it?
Let's see, mile marker 1,765 in Georgia at 3:00 in the morning, when you realize I didn't see the last 7 miles, man. I think I was asleep. No, that's fun. Okay, no, seriously though, because it's a matter of getting older too. And we joked about that with the running, but we would always drive through, and it's about a 14.5-hour drive, and I just can't with my back anymore. It killed me. So I could do it, but I got there, I was uncomfortable, and I just wanted to suck it up. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned Southwest, and again, this isn't a plug. They don't support our podcast financially. They could if they want to. So Southwest, call me. They gave me some swag, but we can do some commercials if you want. But just anyway, their commercials and their company, especially the social media that they have, the outreach that they have on social media, they really, now I don't know if this is just a ploy to get customers like me because it worked, but they seem like they really do have heart and they care and they want to resolve things quickly. I will always support a company like that. Sure. So when I went to pick, and they have a pretty strong presence in St. Louis. So there's about 8 or 9 flights a day down to Orlando, so that it made it very easy to pick flights whenever we go. But I like to support a company like that. And so I felt comfortable going with them. I felt like when I got on that first plane, I was super nervous a few years ago. The flight attendants were all very accommodating. They were cracking jokes, especially when you're going to a place like Walt Disney World. A St. Louis to Orlando flight is full of people going to Walt Disney World. You see people in Mickey shirts and ears, and, the flight attendant had on ears, we're going to Mickey's house, so that made it almost like the first attraction of the trip. And so it's so easy too. It used to take 14.5 hours. You're recovering for 24 hours after you get there because you're exhausted. You're literally there in 2 hours and 20 minutes, and you're on the ground. And the whole time you're there, you can mess around on your iPad, and just talk to people. And with the Wi-Fi, it's amazing. So it's just a matter of, I've been converted because I can add a whole nother day to my trip now because I'm saving 12 hours on the front end, 12 hours on the back end. I'm getting to play on my iPad and talk to people the whole way down and back. I mean, it's pretty sweet. And I know I'm like, just everybody else has been doing this their whole entire lives. It sounds like I'm, from
whoa, not everybody. All right. I fly Spirit. So there is none of this going on. Okay.
I don't even know if I would. There's only certain airlines I'm going to fly. I'm not going to do Allegiant. I don't know about Spirit. I don't want to do barrel rolls on the way down.
We're lucky to sometimes get the wheels to click into the plane. Now, I'm just saying, we don't have Wi-Fi on a plane. Are you kidding me? I can't believe my phone works in the airport, let alone on the plane.
No, for Spirit, it's why fly in our plane. No, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, I will. Here's the funny part. Driving, for at least for me, is that my journey technically would start in March, and even though I would take a summer trip, journey starts in March, and everybody's like, "What?" Yes, that is when I finally start to do all the repairs from a really really hard Chicago winter on the truck, and it was one of those cases where it's like, yeah, sure. My travel budget included, basically my Disney travel budget would basically go into maintaining the truck, which, hey, has to be maintained anyway. It's just a nice way of doing it. Now I'm just to the point where I'm just like, I'm tired of driving. I like to drive. I'd like to do road trips. I really do. And we actually have a lot of fun with them because we take some different routes and we see family, we see friends, but we try to break it up a bit. But it was always that case where it was 1,124 miles usually to go. And it was one of those cases where it was like, I was always really tense getting down there. And once I was down there, I was fine. And I didn't really care about coming home because I was already had my vacation. Mm-hmm. But it was also one of those cases where it's like, I just wanted to get down there and I wanted to get down there in one piece. And, sometimes going through the mountains was always kind of crazy. The ongoing joke was that we always predicted in which state the check engine light would come on.
Oh my gosh, it's a nightmare.
And eventually, I mean, the funny part is that eventually I carried my own tools and I carried my own scan tool, so I knew what it was. I would turn the light off and keep going, and things like that. But now I'm at the point where we're planning our first flying trip for a while. We are flying Southwest. We're really looking forward to it, and yes, it's going to cost twice as much. But you're right. You actually get, like, for us in this particular case, we're going to get, because we're leaving midway at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
You get there really super. I mean, you can still make it to almost all
there. You could have your second breakfast there. I mean, think about that.
And then our flight coming home leaves at like 9:30 at night.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you get almost 2 full days and you're still your travel days.
Yeah.
And so we, the night before we actually stay at a hotel near the airport, which I use Hilton points that I earn throughout the year. So I don't pay for those hotel rooms anywhere. Excuse me. And then we just kind of crash, get up, go, crash on a plane and make a time of it. And so, I think I'm going to follow suit with what you're saying or what you've been doing.
Well, here's what's going to happen. So my family will not ride in a car again because they're like, we're not jamming in that car with all the luggage and stuff on the roof anymore. We're flying every time. So yeah. And the thing about again, not a Southwest commercial, but if you're going, you can usually find a decent rate if you look hard enough and you're allowed to reshop your rate there and get a credit if it changes or goes down, and you're always going to go back. So that's the thing I like about that. It's enjoyable. So, and two, the thing, and you're going to see this too, is that, like I said, when you're going to Orlando, it's so exciting for me when we tend to get there very early because I'm as much as I hated flying, I've always my whole life been a space enthusiast and a flight enthusiast. I'd watch the Blue Angels. I go to air shows. I love that stuff. I love airports. We live 10 minutes from our airport. So the planes go over our house all the time. I lay in my hammock and like look up with my apps and see where's that plane going and so forth. I've done that my whole life. So, it's exciting. So when you get to the terminal and that you're going to Orlando, it's so cool to see the kids, they're amped up and the parents, because this is probably their first time going to Walt Disney World. They got their little princess dresses on, or they're dressed like pirates, or they have ears on and they have no idea what they're getting into for the next week. They're the people that like we talk about on our shows about, oh man, if we could only hold their hand and help them so they have a good trip. I don't say anything obviously, but I just sit back and I'm like, it's just cool to see casual folks that are getting to go to Mickey's house. They don't even know there's 4 parks. They're going to just they call the Magic Kingdom everything, but it's just awesome to see their little noses pushed up against the glass, looking at their plane, knowing they're going to Walt Disney World for the next week. I eat that stuff up from a distance. So, maybe flying to Vegas is different, but flying to Walt Disney World is pretty magical in itself.
Yeah.
Flying to Vegas is pretty magical.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'm thinking about that too sometimes.
No, the interesting part
magical in completely different ways. I'm sorry.
What stays there, right?
But in kind of closing up here, the thing is that I've traveled a lot for business. I mean, I've got several 100,000 miles of ranked in with American and also United as well. And all I got to say is some people are like, wow, that's great. You've flown a lot. You must have a lot of frequent flyer miles. I'm like, yeah, but your butt sits in those seats for a long time. So the thing of it is that sometimes you just got to say, yep, I'm going to do this. And I'm actually going to go there refreshed. I'm looking forward to it this year. And, for once, I don't have to worry about going down there. If we're going to, we may make a side trip to see family. And to do that, I'm just going to rent a car. I'm going to rent a car for a day and just, go out to the East Coast of Florida to see family. Come back, no big deal. Because going to see family is still very important to us. That's part of the reason why we drove. But there's always alternatives to that. So, well, I'll tell you what, Mike, we're actually approaching at the bottom of the hour. First off, I'm really excited to meet up with you again at the Indie Disney Meet this August. That is going to be so cool. Everybody, Mike's going to be down there with us, as well as Jeff Barnes as well. And I think you probably feel the same way that. I know that we've both been to different, I'll call them versions of the Indie Disney Meet. And last year was phenomenal, especially when you compare the venue that we were at.
Yeah, the venue was pretty incredible, man. I saw the venue a couple days before. I was out there with our friends, the Shinegolds, who were, helping to put it on. And they took us out there and I was like, wow, we're going to fill this thing. I was like, this thing is huge, especially compared to the year before. And, we could have used probably a little more space, come the busy time of the afternoon. So I'd encourage everybody to get out there if you're in the Midwest, anywhere, come out and say hello, because we're all kind of on the same team here working for Give Kids the World. And you guys have done a tremendous job today, almost $2,000 already. You got to realize that that's real money doing real good in the world. I'm not bringing the show down, but we know bad things happen in the world, and stuff happened yesterday that wasn't good down in Texas. And I wish we could give more than thoughts and prayers, but that's all I have to give right now, but it's one of those things that if you want to counteract that kind of evil that's happening, if you have something in the pit of your stomach about that, really, the best way to do that is to kind of flip it on the opposite side. It's kind of the yin and the yang of the whole thing. Give a little money, help somebody that's struggling right now. The best thing you can have is a healthy child. And these folks that go to Give Kids the World, they don't have that blessing. They're there celebrating what time they have with their kids. I've been down there, and seen the village and toured it and saw, interacted with the families, and they could not be happier. And that was the thing that shocked me. I was scared to death to go there. I've had many invitations, and I declined them a couple times because I thought it would be sad, because I just think if my kid was sick with a life-challenging illness, I would be depressed, And the thing is, they've kind of accepted it for what it is, and they're going to make the memories that they can. And those kids are happy. The parents are happy because the kid's happy. The siblings are happy because they haven't gotten any attention probably in a long time because of the struggles. And it's a magical place. So get out there, donate what you can today, because you are bringing the good to the world, man. They do. I can't tell you how great of work they do to Give Kids the World. So give what you can, please.
Most excellent. Well, Mike, also, you are having a very similar show. In fact, I will admit, some of the things that we're doing kind of inspired by some of the things you've done in the past with your show. When is your fundraising show?
It's funny because we were talking about that today on the hammock with Ricky. I think we're going for August 5th. Don't quote us on that. We're looking at the first week of August because we'll be down in, we're going on a really long vacation this summer. So we'll be gone for about the first half of July. So we are going to shoot for right about around the front of August, beginning of August to get things done. Trying to avoid the holidays. You know how it is. Everybody's going here and there. You guys probably had the same thing, trying to land on a date. You got there right before Memorial Day, bro.
Yeah. That's why we're doing it today. Because June's horrible. July is horrible. So
I'm like, I was telling us, Ricky, how about June? Well, no, she can't do June. She has an anniversary. She has this. She has this. I'm like, July, I'll be gone. Yeah. So, yep. Next time we really do it, probably the beginning of August. But no, we're going to do that. 12 hours. We'll have all the, lots of guests and so forth, and lots of giveaways, just like you guys are doing. But, just all the same team. So, get out there, donate today, donate in August, donate at the Indie Disney Meet late August. Hey, it all goes to the same place and it's all doing the same good in the world. So blessings to you guys. You guys are having a great day, and I'll be following along from maybe Happy Joe's, having some pizza here in a little bit, I'm hoping. I don't know what we're having, but I'm starving. So,
well, Mike, we appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely be giving your show a shout out later in August to help raise money for for Give Kids the World. At the end of the day, it's the same boat. So we appreciate everything you do. We appreciate your show, and thank you for joining us here today.
Absolutely, I'll be seeing you guys out there 5:00 in the morning, 12 miles with me tomorrow. Come on.
Oh yeah, just knock on the door. We'll be there. Don't worry about it.
All right, I'll be looking for that post on Instagram. You guys have a good afternoon. Thanks,
have a good one, Mike.
Take care, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Always a pleasure.
Always a great time talking with Mike. I mean, it's just as I said, Mike's been an inspiration to me. I mean, as I said, it's one of the first Disney podcasters I actually listen to. There are a lot of things that I know that we do that we actually kind of get inspired with what his show has done, and it's all for a good cause. And that's the biggest thing. We are having actually another podcaster come on here in a minute. We'll be passing on some links in just a second to those people. The thing of it is that the one great part about the Disney podcast community is just the idea that, it's times like this where, we know that we have different shows. We all bring something different to the table, and we have different fan bases. And so a lot of times those fan bases also overlap. The fact of the matter is that in a case like this, I love it how the podcasting community is coming together in order to just, really help out for a good cause. And at the same time, Mike, if you're still listening, if there's anything that we can do to help you and your show out in regards to your marathon show in August, just let us know. So Danny, I'm going to go ahead and pause here for a second. I'm going to share out some links to those that are joining us, because we're going to probably have not only Jimmy, but I believe Lisa is going to be joining us as well from the Disney Nerds podcast.
So we'll touch base on a couple things. I know the first segment of the show, we had about 80 shares on that show, and we appreciate every single one of you sharing it. This segment, because we had to break it up, we're looking at over 66 shares. Big shout out to some of the shares out there: Christine, Teresa, the Big Onion Club, Kayla, Ashley, Meredith, Jessica sharing it over in the Run Disney Independent Princess Runners, Leanne, John Paul, Crazy for Disney, Functioning Disney Addicts, Disney Advertisement and Promotions, I'm So Disney, Disney Chatter, Disney Vacation to Florida and Beyond, Disney Parks People, Disney Nerds, Disney Dreamers, Walt Disney World Made Easy for Everybody, Walt Disney World Tips and Tricks, The Disney Nation, Walt Disney World Enthusiast, Deliriously Disney, The Uncle Danny page, Wonderful World of Disney Lovers, Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, Disney's Saratoga Springs and Old Key West, Disney's Coronado Springs Resort, Disney's Value Resorts, Disney's Fort Wilderness Cabins, Magical Guide to Disney Springs, Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, Magical Guide to Disney's Animal Kingdom, Magical Guide to the Magic Kingdom, Miss Salada in the House, Magical Guide to Epcot, Magical Guide to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Tim, once again, thank you. Melanie, Lindsay, Joshua, Trisha, Nick, Chris Salata sharing it out. Thank you. Big shout out to Chris Salata. Lynn, thank you very much. And so many more as we're going through here. It's just kind of duplicating here and there. The Lemon Sisters were able to share this out. Jill, Disney Lovers, thanks for that one. Maureen, Anita, Christine, Streaming the Magic shared our earlier show. And you might say, what are we doing all these shares for? We're raising money today. We started at 10:45 this morning. It is now 5:37 p.m. Eastern time. That is right. We still have a solid 4 hours of show to go. And currently we are at 94% of our goal. We hope to break that 100% and keep rolling. Currently, we have raised $1,880. Big shout out to Brian, Nick and Heather, Christine, Albert, Lindsay, Michelle, Indie Disney Meet, the Diz Dad Podcast, Carol, Mike, Becky, Linda, Brad and Rose, Sandra, Enrique, Jennifer, Margie, Wally, Leslie, Anita, Prior Lakes, Steve, Mary, Chris, Maureen, Leanne, Heather, Amanda, Nancy, Jeffrey, Wendy, and Leanna. Thank you all for dipping into your pockets and making today not only a special day for us, but really helping a tremendous cause and Give Kids the World. But keep the sharing. Don't stop. Keep sharing the show and keep donating.
Sharing. Sorry. Because sharing is caring.
He is the songbird of our generation, ladies and gentlemen.
I shouldn't do that.
What? The songbird of our generation?
Sing.
Oh, no, you should not. But
even though I sang to my wife on her wedding day.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I said yes. And brought you corn dog nuggets. What?
That time.
She already said yes. She was stuck with me at that point.
That time I was with myself.
At this point, you're stuck, honey. I'm just going to do it. Oh, man. So up next, we do have, we'll recap some of the people we've had earlier today. We had Courtney starting the day off with Give Kids the World, Aaron Del Prince from the Indie Disney Meet, Eric from Expedition Roasters, and Expedition Roasters, anything you order today and tomorrow, part of their proceeds will go directly to Give Kids the World. Aaron Rittmaster of the Diz Dads podcast and Mouse Master Travel. We had the Lemon Sisters. Well, only half of a lemon was here today. And they will be donating some candles to you guys. We'll set that up with them and be able to do some giveaways. We had Whitney Wickham from the new Star Wars film just came on with us a few hours back, and any photos of her that she sells, part of the proceeds will go to Give Kids the World. We had what?
I will be getting those links out.
Perfect. We had Jeff Barnes from the Walt of Wisdom, the author. He was on the show. Wisdom of Walt. Walt of Wisdom. Wisdom of Walt. Correct? Yeah. I don't know. You're chewing, so I'm trying to justify what I'm saying. We had R.J. Ogren. And I forgot to ask him how to pronounce that because I didn't want to butcher that. But the fantastic illustrator and, does some fantastic work. And we hope to have him and his wife on soon. And like I said, I just ordered both his books while we were live doing it. That's how much we enjoyed his stuff. So many funny stories. Last up, we just had Mike Rahman from the Be Our Guest podcast. And once again, they also do a 12-hour marathon show. I would say similar to us, but we do it similar to them. They're looking at August. We'll keep you guys up to date with that later on. And coming up at 5:45, we have Jimmy Horn from the Disney Nerds podcast. And I believe we are having his co-host join us.
Right. Lisa is going to be joining us as well.
Awesome. And once again, we'll revisit it. Last year we did 9 hours and raised just south of 1,600, just north of 1,500, somewhere in that ballpark. I did not write the exact amount down. What'd you say?
Last year was about 1,600.
About 1,600. Okay, and this year, like we're saying, we have been on since 10:45. So we're about 7 hours into our show, and we've raised $1,800. So we've already surpassed what we did in 2 hours less time this year. So let's keep the magic rolling. Let's keep the ball rolling. We thank everybody who has come out and donated, who has helped share the show out. We hope that as we bring on more of these podcasters, some of their people that are going to come follow them to listen to them will dig a little bit into their pocket to do some good for a great cause. We've already given away 2 pins. We've given away 2 sets of ears. Later in the show, if anybody's new, we'll retouch on this in a second. Also, for some of the people coming in from the Disney Nerd section, we have a Tiana Dooney and Burke purse to give away. We also have a Club 33 hat, signed Club 33 hat that was donated to us, and we will be giving both of those away. The only thing you need to do to be entered for any of these prizes is donate money. I think the minimum they're allowing today is $5. That's the cheapest you can donate, $5. If you want either to be entered into the Dooney or the hat, it needs to be a minimum of $25. And if you win any of the small prizes, you can only collect on one of the small prizes. Kevin is saying we should be over 1,900. I believe we should be over 1,900. He's saying it, I'm assuming because he thought people were donating. On my screen, we are not over 1,800 yet. I mean, 19.
$1,932.
Okay, so something's up with my link because I'm only showing 1,800. So let me get a new link here. I know Jimmy was saying earlier that he was having a bit of a snag getting in via mobile to donate money. Definitely we'll have to give that a check. I was in the process. That's why you saw me disappear throughout our last interview, trying to fix that. Everybody's saying basically from a computer you're good to go. But for some reason, via mobile was a bit of a hassle. And now, Chris, you are saying we broke 1,900 because I just refreshed that and I'm still not showing it. I believe you, if that matters.
Hold on. It was one of those things. I have to laugh at a neighbor friend of mine. And I'm just going to, I love my neighbors. They're just completely awesome.
Nope. See, I'm still showing only 1,800, 1,888. Multiple resets. Oh well, it's okay.
Well, I like the idea that it shows more on my end. So
well, that's all that matters. I'll take the more. I'm glad to hear Ed saying that Disney nerds are here to help. We do thank all the listeners coming over from the Disney Nerds page. Morgan, all of you guys, please help share this show. And how at the end of the day, I don't care about that ticker. I don't care about how many people we view. I don't care about the comments. I don't care about any of the crazy stuff. I care about making that goal go higher. And once again, we do not touch any of the money. The money goes directly to Give Kids the World. And since we have such a nice following, you know what? Before we bring them on, let's give an opportunity here for some of the Disney Nerds podcast fans that came to listen to not only Lisa and Jimmy. Let's give them an opportunity. I want you to dig deep into your little bag. I want you to find something deep in that bag. What do you got in there? You got anything good to give away?
Okay.
Or have you exhausted all of your fun stuff?
Oh, I still have 4 more sets of ears in my stash.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So I would probably say, if you want to put up that number, first person to text that number will basically win a set of ears. And basically the ears I have are either mini ears or they're Christmas light ears, or they are basically Christmas mini ears. It's all kind of mini related, but they're cool. I would wear any of them.
The first person to text this number, text 321-430-2283. Once again, text the number 321-430-2283. Make sure you say your name, please.
Full name.
So we don't have to do investigative work. As soon as we get our first person in here.
Go ahead. Refreshing.
Got one.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
What?
It's Heather.
Heather can win. Why can't Heather win?
Because she's already won something.
Oh, Heather. All right. So I just saw a second message come in.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, Heather.
I didn't think Heather won anything. What did Heather win? Oh, did she get the pins?
Oh, you know what? I take that back. Because of that, she does actually able to win that because she actually gave those back because she already has been. Heather, so I do apologize. Hold on a second. Heather Chestnut, you win a set of ears.
Yeah, she's been on fire.
Wait a second. Does she have that number on speed dial now?
Right? Does she say?
Well, no, actually, it's a good thing. You know why? Because now she can't win again for the small stuff.
So you can take that number off of speed dial.